Happy Friday, everyone. How are you? Today, I will be training on feminine energy and how to master that. And there's some interesting misconceptions around this topic. So I want to tackle that first. And I want to talk about why this is important. Because I'm sure for a lot of you, feminine energy is not something that you think about all the time. If you're a man, obviously it's something you don't think about hardly at all. Not too many men walk around saying, I want to harness my feminine energy, right? And for women, I think there's sometimes a negative connotation around this. So I want to talk about that today and how you can really master it and why this is so important and what this will help you do, which the ultimate goal here, obviously, with feminine energy and with any energy that you put out there is to live a great life and have the best life possible. So good morning, Deneen. How are you? I guess it's afternoon now, isn't it? Yeah, afternoon. So who else do we have on here? Make sure that you type in what's going on. Columbia, South Carolina, welcome. Very cool. Well, I'm excited for Rank Makers Live. It's going to be a great event. We're putting together some really cool stuff for that event. It's been a lot of fun, and there's some really big announcements around Rank Makers, around some different things happening in our life that will affect you. So make sure that you're definitely live for those sessions. Good morning, Doris. How are you? Tennessee, welcome. Andy from Texas, very cool. All right, well, you guys are in for a treat when it comes to Rank Makers Live and all the speakers that we have there. Really good social media updates as well, which obviously anybody who wants to be on social media and build their business there needs to know what's happening and how to use that most effectively. So we'll be talking about that at the event. And feminine energy, I'm glad to see some men on here too, because it's not just a female thing, or it's not just a woman thing, I should say. Men also have the ability to harness this energy in positive ways, just like women have the ability to harness masculine energy. And the funny thing is that, someone said I miss you on Friday mornings. Well, I'm still going to be there on Friday mornings with Rank Makers. Just the last few, we've had different trainers and speakers come in, but I appreciate that. But you get to see me here, so that's great too. Money is actually feminine energy. And this was something that we learned from our coaches. Money is feminine energy. It just kind of flows where it's wanted, where it's treated well, where it can get the most attention. And so masculine energy kind of harnesses the feminine energy and gets that money, okay? So when you have two opposites, they usually attract, right? That's just a general sense of how the world works. Opposites attract. So masculine energy can attract the feminine energy of money. And so how do you harness that? Especially, and for the guys, this is important because you have women on your team. You may have a spouse, okay? It's important for both of you to have your energies in balance as you're working together and as you're trying to make this flow of money happen, especially. And this was something that took Ray and I years to learn, to really get it in balance. And our relationship, our finances, our lifestyle, our relationship with our kids is better than ever when we learn to harness these energies. So I want you to take out a piece of paper. And I want you to write down something that brings you joy. And I don't want you to judge it. I don't want you to think about what you think someone thinks you should write, or what you think your husband wants from you or your wife. Just one thing that brings you joy. And as you're writing this, I want you to think about, when you're in the space of joy, what is it that you really want? So for me, something that brings me joy is dancing. I don't know if you saw my dance last night. It was a rough version of what I've been practicing, but that's something that brings me joy. And when I can think about dancing and be in that space and feel the joy, I want you to also think about what you want out of life. And I don't want you to judge it. I don't want you to start working your business brings you joy. That's great. Reading, awesome. Oh, thank you for the the dance compliment. I think the hardest thing for people, or I know one of the hardest things for people, is understanding what they want and really voicing that and vocalizing that. And when you truly get down to the core of what you want, and the reason that you want to think about something that brings you joy is, one, you should be aware of if you're doing that or not. If you're not doing that, then you need to think about why. Number two, being in that space of joy really helps you create more of what you want versus whatever society thinks you should want, or what, like I said, your husband, your wife, your friends, your parents, everybody else thinks you should want. And in our business, in being in a home business, the possibilities really are endless. And so is it that you want to be the top rank? Is there a certain charity that's pulling at your heart? Like, what is it that you really, really want? And I'm just going to shift to women, okay? As women, being in our feminine energy, we really, when we sit back and think about what we want, when we're not taking on masculine energy all the time, when we sit back and think about what we want, we really want to go with the flow. Because that's in our nature, that's what we're meant to do. We're meant to go with the flow. And we don't want to push outcomes. We don't want to push results. We want to go with the flow and capture opportunity when we can and take advantage of that and make sure that we're harnessing opportunity. But we also want to be at peace and at joy. And this is true for men too, but it's more so true for women, because, when men are at their happiest and most joyful is when they're living in their masculine energy, which is really driving and pushing for achievement. Okay, driving and pushing for achievement in that masculine energy. And for us, we want to go with the flow of that achievement. Doesn't mean, and here's where I really want to challenge you a little bit. And Tony Robbins talks about this too. In society, we're taught that feminine energy is bad, right? Because just being told to stay in the kitchen and cook and do the dishes and clean the house and take care of the kids, that's bad. Bad, bad, bad. No, you're not supposed to do that, right? And I'm not saying it's good or bad. That may be where you thrive with your creativity the most, and that's great. But what that's translated into is that anything that you do that's even remotely feminine or submissive is translated as bad. And sometimes when we want to be in our feminine energy, we need to be good followers. We need to learn how to go with the flow and follow what the divine, what our mentors, or what our leadership that we want to emulate is guiding us to do. And when you're constant, and this is true for men too, by the way, but when you're constantly in one energy, so if you're constantly a follower in feminine energy and going with the flow, or you're constantly in masculine energy and trying to achieve all the time 100%, it burns you out and it doesn't get you where you want to go. So there's a balance, but you may be imbalanced in the wrong way. So as women, we're supposed to harness more feminine energy, and as men, we're supposed to harness more masculine energy. And that is not to say that you are just stay in the kitchen, don't achieve, don't do anything. That is, of course, Not the case. Although if that brings you joy and that's where you get the most creativity, I say rock it out. And that's amazing and awesome. And there's nothing bad about that. It's a matter of, it has nothing to do with the roles in society, because I want you to forget about those for a minute. That's where this message gets completely lost. Forget about the roles in society. It has to do with the energies of who we're truly meant to be. And so if you feel as a woman that you're constantly pushing to achieve your end goal, then you're probably going about it the wrong way. And so I'm going to challenge you to sit back and really reflect inward and look at what you really, really want out of your life. And this is going to get emotional for you, because there's probably some people in your life that you're going to have tough conversations with around this if you truly want to get through to yourself and start practicing what your purpose is, what you're really meant to be here to do. Now, I consider myself a powerful woman. I consider myself somebody who gets things done, who can achieve great things. But what I don't consider myself is aggressive, overbearing, degrading to men. That's another big mistake that women are making, especially today, with their business path. And when you're on a business path, that can be easy to slip into. It can be easy to slip into because you really want to prove that you're worth what you set out to do. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to worthiness. And many of us, men and women, feel unworthy. And so we do things opposite to our true nature to try and feel worthy, to make people believe that we deserve it, because we ourselves don't believe that we deserve it. But when you step back and you rest yourself in confidence and what brings you joy, and then you think about what you truly want, and as women, you think about going with the flow, and as men, you adapt from constantly achieving all the time, go, achieve, which is natural for you. And you think about, how can I be more into this go with the flow type of energy at times when you feel like you just can't do it anymore? You'll start to be at peace. So for women, we need to have more feminine energy, less masculine energy, just how it should be as a natural balance. That doesn't mean that you don't transition or switch from one to the other at times. Okay, so I'll give you an example. I was going back and forth on, especially during COVID, I wasn't feeling happy. I think a lot of us weren't. I wasn't feeling as happy as I should, and being somebody who shows up for others and a personal development trainer, that wasn't working for me. So I knew I needed to change something. And what I realized by going on a serious personal development journey was that I had pushed and fit a square peg into a round hole my entire life. I was constantly pushing for things to happen. Even if in my gut, I was like, I don't know if I should do that, I would take it on because I'm a doer. I master things. I go and I execute. I make it happen, right? Which was draining me to my core, especially with 2 little kids. Moms, I know you know what I'm talking about. It was draining me to my core. And you know what? I was missing out on some really great times with my kids. Not because I didn't create an amazing business that would allow me to do that. I did. I created an amazing business that allowed me to do that. But once I had the allowance to do that, my mind and my overtaking of masculine energy wouldn't let me accept that. It just pretended like life was always hard. And so if you're pretending like life is always hard and you don't accept something that's sitting right in front of you as a gift, That's step one. And if there's something in your life sitting in front of you that you know you should do, or that your heart is calling you to do or take advantage of, that's step one. Because by ignoring that, you're completely intercepting what you're meant to do here on this planet with your brain. You're thinking up here, you're not thinking here. So I hope that makes sense. For men, they are achievement machines, and they are constantly looking for the next goal, the next goal, the next goal. And sometimes they get thrown off that path because they feel that they have to be a certain other way. And so what makes men most happy, and it doesn't matter if they're married, single, in a relationship, not in a relationship, what makes men at their core most happy is providing, being the provider. If you really get down to the core of who men are, being a provider makes them happy. Now that can be for their children, that could be for their wife, that could be for their family, that could be for a cause that they feel very passionate about, right? Like a charity or something like that. It could be for their business, providing a space for their employees and their staff, or for their team, right? Being a provider. And women nurture. So men provide, women nurture. So men who are constantly wanting to achieve and wanting to be that provider, when they're knocked out of that masculine energy and put into feminine energy too much, then they feel unfulfilled. They start to feel insecure, and that can affect relationships. It can affect business partnerships. It can affect everything. And so men need to focus on that achievement and focus on that providing, and then when the time is right, slip into that, go with the flow and nurture energy, because either one, too much of either one is not good for someone. So back to my example that I think I veered off of, wasn't happy, started getting mentorship around burnout, right? I was just like, man, I feel burned out. I just need to like take a step back and get whole again. And as I was doing this, realized that there are things that make me happy that I wasn't doing, and that I was living in this space that wasn't good for me. And so I started setting time and time blocking important parts of my life that I didn't want to miss anymore. And that was, spending that one-on-one time with the kids. That's always very, very important to me. That was making sure that I spend time for myself, doing the things that I need to make myself feel good, like dance, or like a spa day once a month, or whatever that is. That was learning to support better. And many of you, even though it's a hard pill to swallow, and especially leaders, especially women leaders who are so strong and such amazing women and such a gift to the world, you carry a large weight on your shoulders. And sometimes you just need to support. Sometimes you just need to support the spouse in your life, the man in your life, or support the team in your life for a time. Now, that does not mean you take your foot off the gas, you stop recruiting or anything like that. That's not who you are anyway. That's not going to happen. But sometimes you just need to take a breather and say, you know what? I'm in this space to support. I'm feeling this way because I need to support my husband. I'm feeling this way because I need to support my team better. Whatever it is for you. Or maybe you need to support your family, your children better. Because that's who we are truly at our core. And it's such a relief when you take off that mask, when you take off those societal things that you think you're supposed to be doing, or places you think you're supposed to be going, or the life you think that you were supposed to have, and you just look at what you truly want at your core. Money will flow. Money will come when you're truly living your purpose. And so at the beginning, I had you write down something that brings you joy. Now I want you to take that same notepad out and I want you to write down something that you wish you had as a child. Some kind of emotion or some kind of feeling that you don't feel that you got as a child. So for me, there were many of them. Many things I didn't feel like it. And it doesn't matter how great your parents are. As children, we always feel like we're missing something, right? But for me, a big one was structure. I feel like I was missing structure. And I was missing happiness at times. So for you, if you're missing happiness and you're missing structure, or whatever you wrote down, right? It's probably not those things, but if you're missing those things, then what I've learned and what Ray and I have learned from our coaches and from the work that we've done is that that's how you're meant to truly show up in the world. Whatever you have been missing was your gift that was meant to come to you so that you could show up in the world for those reasons. Now, how you use that to create in your life and how you use that to build your business, that's really up to you. But for example, structure, we use that every day in our business. And me structuring out content or structuring out the next plan for the next year or structuring out how we're going to help someone get from plan A to plan B, that's how I manifest structure. So how do you manifest what you were missing and what you've been missing your entire life? Because when it comes to energies, they don't just go away. They come through you, and they come through you as children, and then they come through you as you get into adulthood. So write down 2 things. What is it that brings you joy? And as you sit in that feeling, think about what you want. And then I want you to write down what feeling you were missing as a child, because that hasn't gone away. Especially if you can bring it up now, that hasn't gone away. And that'll bring up your true energies of who you're meant to be and how you're meant to live on purpose. So, ladies, when you are feeling out of sorts, when you're feeling like, I just don't know if I'm worthy of this, or insecurity peeks around, or maybe even embarrassment peeks around because you feel like this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing, or I didn't do a good job here, or whatever the case may be. When those feelings peek around, instead of getting overly over the top with your emotions and your energy. So instead of like projecting that out in a bigger way and trying to mask it with a facade. So when we have these emotions, that facade tends to get bigger and grow. Instead of doing that, go internal. Just start closing your eyes and taking a deep breath and go internal and think to yourself, is this truly what I want and how I want to live my life? And just go with the flow with whatever happens. Just start going with the flow. And you'll see that you start enjoying your business more. See, you can be a powerful, incredible go-getter without pushing and without constantly trying to be something that you're not. You can be all of those things with going with the flow and just enjoying and loving life as you do. And you know who one of the best people that I see do this is Sarah Blakely. So yes, she's the founder of Spanx, right? Yes, she's incredibly driven. Yes, she's incredibly powerful. But yes, she's a wife. She has 3 kids. She loves what she does. And she does it with grace and beauty and feminine energy through and through. And I remember her telling a story about how when she was first building her company, she had made it to a level with hustle, right? You need hustle 100%, but that doesn't mean that you need to hustle with aggressiveness or with this constant, I'm never good enough attitude. So she hustled to get her way to whatever level she was at her company at the time. I think it had just hit one of the Inc. 5,000 or something companies, something like that. And she was invited into this group of CEOs, all men, okay, all with a very similar, we have to provide, we have to achieve, we have to get things done no matter the cost. Now, not all the men, okay, this is where feminine energy comes in, is when you have somebody, a CEO or an upline leader or whoever that says we have to achieve no matter the cost. This is where they need the feminine energy. They need that balance of we have to achieve while embracing our people, right? So she was in this room of all these CEOs, we have to achieve no matter the cost, blah, 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 blah. And she came in saying, well, I believe that I can achieve all of those things with giving love to my organization and giving love to my team and giving love to my sales reps and coming from an area of understanding and going with the flow, because life happens. And they all laughed in her face. They all said she was crazy. And that to call them when that doesn't work, and they'll tell them how the real world works. I think the results speak for themselves. The results speak for themselves in that she's a billionaire, one of the top female billionaires in the entire world. And her company has done amazing things, all from that attitude of feminine energy. And at times, she has to turn that masculine button on, right? She has to say, okay, right now I'm in sales mode and I'm in achieve mode, but I'm not going to sacrifice who I am at my core to make that happen. And the same thing goes for men. I'm in achieve mode, but I'm not going to sacrifice people and my morals and my values to achieve what I need to get. And the more people that understand this, really, the happier a world will be in, and the more money will flow to you. It absolutely will, because you're not fitting that square peg into that round hole anymore. You're going with the flow and you're aligning with who you truly are. So again, I just want to reiterate before I close out here that this may challenge you because you have so many programs running from what society has told you, right? Society has told you that being feminine at times is bad, okay? And I don't mean being a woman is bad. I mean, they've subconsciously programmed people over and over and over again that loving who you are to your core, if it's not go, go, go mode, and it's not constantly wanting the next thing, and there's actually a tactic to this, right? If you're not programmed to constantly go after the next goal or want the next thing, how could it possibly ever come to you? Right? That's the programming. How could it ever come to you? How could you actually create wealth and be happy? That's not going to happen. You need this thing to be happy. And by you just being a wife, you will never be happy. Right? By you just being a mom, you will never be happy. Now, I understand we're all business owners in here. And maybe that's not who we are, okay? But that doesn't make it wrong. That doesn't mean that's truly our energy wanting to come out. What we do is we create that in different ways, and we manifest that through creation in our business, through creation in our families, through creation in our life choices and our lifestyle. And that's how you truly feel fulfilled and happy. It's not from constantly going from one goal to the next and thinking, That's it. That's what I need. That'll make me happy. So this is deeply rooted in people. And my goal for you after listening to this is that you really think about what you want, because it really comes down to that. So after you sign off here today, make sure you write those two things down. Again, what brings you the most joy? Think about what you want while you're doing that. And write down some emotions that you were missing as a kid. What were those emotions that you feel like you really missed out on? Okay. And then I want you to just leave it, let it go, and see what comes for you. Go with the flow. See what comes for you. What activities do you want to do more of? Okay. What people do you want to nurture more? Maybe it's a leader on your team. Maybe it's someone in your family. Maybe it's a friend. What people do you want to nurture more? And I want you to think about, what do you truly, 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 truly want out of life, and turn off all the noise. And that includes people that you love. Turn them off for a second. What do you want at your core? And write it down. Just write it down. So I hope that this has helped you. I can't wait for Rank Makers Live this year. It's going to be amazing. And I know we say that all the time. You guys have no idea. We have some really, really cool stuff planned for you. And something fun. We're working on a super cool giveaway for you guys that I'm really excited about. So this is going to be something different, that if you attend and you're there actually listening, which is the whole point of getting a ticket to Rank Makers Live, right? Being present. If you're present, you will be able to win some really cool stuff this year too. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that this brought you value. Sit on it. Think about it. You don't have to go take action on it right away, but I really want you to process this and think about what's happening in your life. Is it taking you towards the right direction, or is it gearing you towards a direction that later on you would say, man, if only? And here's one last thing. If you are married, or you have a spouse, or dating of some kind, I want you to have that conversation with your partner. This will be emotional. It will challenge you. It'll probably challenge them also. But when you really figure out, this is just what I really wish I had in life. This is how I want to live my life. Have the conversation with your partner around that. And I bet you'll be pleasantly surprised at their reaction. Okay? So I hope you have an amazing day, amazing Friday. Happy Friday. For Rank Makers, go ahead and make sure you get that number on the board and do your Celebration Friday video. And we'll see you next time in the group. Have a good one.